Okay. Is this muted? Why is this muted, John?
I can hear it.
Oh,
Ball guys and they're talking about hockey.
oh, 'cause it's on my
Two ball guys
microphone.
and they're talking about hockey. Two ball guys and they're talking about hockey. Two ball guys talking about hockey. Two ball guys and they're 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 talking about hockey. And they're bald. And there's hockey. Hockey.
Hey, can you hear
How's
me?
it going? Yes,
It's
I can
going
hear you
great.
perfectly.
It's going great.
Nice.
I am going to let you say hi to everybody while I post the link so everybody can find us, so they can watch us live.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a few weeks. So today we're going to talk about DCHL trades. There's been quite a few trades and a few big ones. We're going to talk about the Four Nations tournament, see how things are going there. And
The elephant in the room.
Steve wants to talk about the elephant in the room is fans booing the American national anthem. Not the players, the national anthem.
Well, I don't even think they're booing the national anthem. Like, I think they're
I
booing one jackass in the White House. Like,
so
like, let's be honest. Like, I don't think they're booing Brady Kachuk, or they're not booing Austin Matthews or any
absolutely
of
not.
these other guys.
Well, maybe Austin Matthews.
Well, in
It
Montreal,
is in
maybe.
Montreal after all.
That's good point. Good point. But yeah, I mean, come on. Like, it ain't personal to the players on that team.
No, it's
It
not.
is it is directed specifically to one person, and
And
he needs
it's
to get the message. And he's too stupid. He probably won't.
no, because everything is wonderful.
Yes.
Everything is wonderful. It's the best economy. It's the best everything. It's the best days. It's just beautiful.
So yeah.
So that's who the fans in Montreal and the fans across Canada are booing is they're booing the President of the United States talking about Canada becoming the 51st state and calling the Prime Minister a governor. So,
Like, and I challenge any American, if someone was doing this to your country, the least you would be doing would be booing
yep.
that country, right? Like, come on. Like,
So,
it's
but
disrespectful, it's insulting, it's wrong. So just knock this shit out.
yep. And one thing that I've started to do, and I started to look at the when I go shopping, I look for Canadian products. So instead of I don't eat a lot of ketchup, but if I instead of buying Heinz ketchup, I'm going to buy the French's ketchup.
Yep. Well, and the message is getting out there because Campbell's soup has dropped its prices like crazy because they're like, hey, nobody's buying our soup anymore. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So
And
good.
that's to me, that's going to be my way to pass the message that you know what, I'm not happy with you.
Yeah.
As you said, I think you're a jackass.
And like, look at it. Booing is a pretty low level protest. It's a
It
pretty
is.
low level protest. We're not blowing up bridges or burning flags. We're saying boo.
Yeah.
So
So
boo. So anyway, let's talk about the game. Like,
yeah.
I'll let you go first because
So
I didn't watch the third period. I
Okay.
didn't really
So
need to,
I'm
apparently.
going to talk about the tournament overall. I think it's been amazing hockey. I've watched all of the two Canadian games. I've watched the one period of the Sweden Finland game, and then I've watched the majority of the USA. Well, no, the first two periods of the USA Finland game.
That's
So,
funny. I only watched the third period of that one.
and it was amazing hockey. It's been a lot of fun to watch. It brings me back to my time when I was growing up, when there was the Canada Cups and the the series against the Soviets, the 1996 World Cup. Like, even though the United States won, it was amazing hockey. Uh, like
86 was amazing.
87,
Or 87, sorry. 87 was
87
amazing.
Canada Cup. So for me, that brought me back to that, and the fact that, like, I was afraid that the players weren't going to take it seriously and they were going to treat it as an all-star tournament,
Well,
and they're
nine
not doing
seconds
that at
into
all.
the US Canada game.
Yeah, they're not doing that. So, like, I'm extremely happy. I love the hockey. It's anybody that loves hockey, and if you haven't watched it because you're afraid it was going to be an all-star game, it's been amazing.
Well, that was my big concern with it, was it was just too much made for TV. And like the things that you look forward to, I'm getting a lot of. And McKinnon and McDavid, my God, those two are amazing hockey players. And
Yeah,
like right now, you can't convince me that they are not the two greatest hockey players in the world.
they're amazing. They
Yeah,
are amazing.
you
Like,
know,
they, it's the fact that Team Canada is, like, sending them out there every third shift, because the third line is alternating with the fourth line. Like, third line is getting a lot more ice on than the fourth line, but they are out there all the time. So it's McDavid needs somebody to find some chemistry with somebody, because he's not. No, not McDavid. Yeah, McDavid needs to find chemistry with somebody else than Crosby. It, they need somebody on the other wing.
well, that was always the problem with Crosby too, right? When over the years was, they could never find somebody to play with him, and that's how Bergeron was making every team, because
Hmm.
he
Well,
he he had a history of being able to play well with Crosby.
so they're talking about tomorrow afternoon, Marchand um, ending up on the wing with McDavid and Crosby. So we'll
A
see
couple
what
shifts,
happens.
like as much as I hate
Yeah.
Marner, a couple shifts, he actually looked like he was a good
So
player to have there, but there's just no sustained
yeah,
dominance that you want. Like, I mean, when McDavid jumps over that boards, get the puck and dominate for the next 45
yeah,
seconds.
and is it also, I mentioned to you earlier, I think we need to send out an APB for Sam Reinhart, um, because
Probably at like some bar in Montreal, and he's just never rolled out of it.
I don't know if it's because McKinnon has the puck all the time that he's not finding a way to gel with him, but, like, he disappeared.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen him at all. Like, I saw him touch the puck, 2, 3 times in 2 games. Uh, so I think he needs to pick up his game if Team Canada is going to beat Finland and the US.
What's funny
And
is when you have a player like that, and you literally do not hear his name on the play-by-play of the game for an entire period or more, it tells you like just all you need to know. Like a player like that, like, again, McDavid, you hear McDavid's name
mhm,
every time he's on the ice. Like he's
yeah,
at some point he's got the puck and he's going with the puck and he's making a move with the puck.
Yep. So is this Reinhardt, like he was counted on to score goals, and he's not even touching the puck. So, and like he needs to pick it up. He needs to, like, either you move him from that line with McKinnon, and you put Hagel with McKinnon, and then you put Reinhardt with Point, and who's the other guy? Uh, Sorelli. I don't know, but it I to me Reinhardt has disappeared over the last two games. So we'll see the next two games or the next game, see what he does.
Well, that being said, if Canada's goaltending is going to give up soft goals every game, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like you can't be just giving the other team like the US a free goal or two every game. Like like
And you know, I've heard this many times. Well, he shut the door after the second goal. He shut the door at the end of the game against Sweden and in overtime. Yes, but he gave up two bad goals in both games that he played.
well,
Eh,
that first goal against the US, it's like, dude,
yes.
you have to be like that. Like that can never go in that moment.
No, it doesn't. And it's a punch to the gut when you're a player, when you get your goalie gives up that a goal like that. And the second goal from Larkin, that was it Larkin, or was it the
Yeah,
second goal?
Larkin was the second goal.
Yeah.
I think I know Larkin scored. I think it was the
Yeah,
second
it
one.
was the second goal because Getzel scored the first
Okay.
and the third. So yeah, it, okay, it was a nice shot, but it wasn't like a crazy shot. He was still outside the dots. Like you know what I mean? He was still
Yeah.
like a good 20 feet away, maybe 30 feet away, and there was nobody in front of him.
I just look ahead. I mean, this tournament's fun, but the Olympics is what we're really all looking for, right?
Yep.
And if Canada's not going to have better goaltending than this, they ain't winning. They ain't beating the US for sure,
No,
and they might not even medal. Like
no.
like
But
because the Swedes and the Finns always get up for the Olympics way more.
yeah, absolutely. So the
As good
Finns
as Canada
always do
is.
well in the Olympics.
And I thought, like, I heard that people were concerned about the D with Canada. And
Well,
I've seen nothing really that worries me about the play of the D.
I will tell you, no, McCarr not being there against the U.S. was a
Okay,
huge
well,
loss. Like the guy plays 25 minutes a game, 27 minutes a game, and anytime he's on the ice, he's got the puck on his stick. So
and he's probably the best defenseman in the world.
yeah,
Like, sure,
I yeah, absolutely.
but I, I'm just, my going in, I was worried about goaltending and the D, and the D has been fine,
Yep,
but and the forwards have been amazing.
yep, they
But
have.
if your goaltending is that bad,
You're not
nothing.
winning.
No, you're not winning.
You're
And
not winning.
I'm worried that they won't beat Finland tomorrow. I really, truly am.
I hope so.
And that's with Montempalo. Ottawa's like what, seventh or eighth defenseman?
Well, he's moving up in the lineup now. Like the way he's played,
Yeah.
I think he's uh like they're six now. He's in the top six. The
And
two
when
games that
Artem
he's
Yakimchuk
played
makes
really
the
well.
team next year,
He's played really
Montempalo
well.
is, yeah. But I mean, credit to Finland. Like I thought they played a really good game against Sweden.
They did.
But I don't know, man. I have bad vibes about this. I have bad vibes about this. Jean I have a special treat for you.
Yes.
Joining us from Winnipeg, Alberta, or not Alberta, sorry, Winnipeg,
Manitoba.
Manitoba. See, I'm all
Hey,
frazzled with the president of the United States.
I know, eh?
We have Kalen, the GM of the LA Kings, joining us. As
Hey,
soon as his
Kalen.
iPhone jumps in here, we'll have to see. But we have Kalen joining us because I know you wanted to talk specifically about some trades that were made in the DCHL this week. And I thought, who better to have than the mastermind himself who made these deals? And Kalen, you're on mute. So we're not going to be able to talk to you. And we're hoping you can turn your camera on so we can see you. So I'm going to have to send him a message.
So, Kalen, if you can hear, the most important part
Mute.
of this question we have to ask is, did you shave for the show?
And we're not talking about your beard, by the way. Okay, well, since Kalen seems to be having technical difficulties right now, we're gonna have to. Oh, there we are.
Hello?
Kalen.
Does that
Kalen.
work?
Yes.
Hey, Kalen.
Wait, can you hear
But
me?
we can't see your beautiful face right
Oh.
now.
Yeah, okay. No, my phone's plugged in because it's dying, so I don't have video for tonight, but sorry, I'm couldn't figure out the audio either.
Kalen, we're a ratings-based business. If
I
we
know.
don't have your beautiful face on camera, that's gonna drop our viewership 10 to 15%.
Well, we're gonna have to lose the percent for tonight. Sorry.
So we're gonna go from 2 to 1 viewers.
2 to 1, yes. Yes. And I'm one of the ones we're gonna be dropping out in a second here. Okay. So you made let's say three very interesting trades this week.
3 interesting ones.
Yes.
Oh, what was the third?
Starting off with the Jackson Blake Nick Lardis trade.
Oh,
Seattle for a first, second, and a third.
yeah, I don't know, just kind of one of the ones to kind of get your feet wet. Haven't really been able to spend a lot of time diving into the DCHL again, and it was a little bit weird to to have the contrast. For those that don't know, I'm in another sim hockey league, and the value is a little bit different just because of the contract. The way we treat UFAs is a bit different, so it's been a little bit weird trying to get used to that, and this one's kind of a result of that, I guess.
So do you feel a little guilty about taking a first, a second, and a third for Nick Lardis and Jackson Blake?
No, because
You're sleeping fine?
A player's worth what someone's going to pay for it, and that's what he wanted to pay for those players. So that must be what he was worth.
Yeah, there you go. No, I thought that was a good trade for you. I mean, obviously, they're good, two decent prospects, but a first, second, and a third, pretty good. Pretty good.
You got really good value.
Yeah,
in
really
your opinion.
that's kind of what I was looking at it too. I mean, those two are obviously two prospects that he really liked. They're from the old regime, so it's nothing that I was particularly attached to. And when you're looking to trade up at draft time and stuff, people tend to put a little bit more value on the picks than those even decently progressing prospects. So I figured let's bring the picks in and maybe we can move up a little bit quicker come draft day.
Well, and Dallas's pick is going to be like in the
mid-20s.
Yeah, it's not going to be the worst spot
Right?
in the first round, but yeah, I was happy to get those picks.
I think we both give you a thumbs up on that trade.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, because personally, I think Nick Lardis is going to be he's a really good junior scorer. I'm not sure if that's going to translate to the NHL.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and
that's my personal.
I look
opinion.
at him as a high energy, like a good score, like a high energy fourth line kind of guy. Like he's. You see a lot of these guys that do well in junior, and then they kind of make it to that third or fourth line, at the NHL, and
Right, right.
I just see him as that, and that's not a. I mean, my God, that's not an insult to the guy, but
It's
I
not the
just
kind
think,
of person that if you have an opportunity to move him for a different asset or another kick at the can, that's the kind of guy you move, right?
well, yeah, exactly, and you can get decent third or fourth liners in free agency, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so if you have to replace a guy like that, you're not killing yourself to do it. So, okay, I guess the big deal was trading the big guy on his last year, Sidney Crosby going to the Islanders with retention, and that's with getting Alex Newhook and Hampus Lindholm. Maybe you can talk us through the your thinking process on that trade.
That one was a tough one. That one is um, recognizing that the season not going the way that I think anyone expected it to, and just needing a little cap space to play around with some other stuff. I think I had 60K all year, and it's tough to do anything with no room. So something had to go, and that was the biggest thing that I could get rid of, or not. I shouldn't say get rid of, but biggest piece to move, anticipating that I probably wasn't bringing him back in free agency. Um, it just then as far as offers go, uh, it's hard to get to move a UFA for a quality. I shouldn't say quality piece,
Did
but
you get other offers, like any reasonable offers for Sid?
a lot of tire kickers, but nothing really, either nothing really materialized or things just kind of didn't always go in a direction that made sense.
Okay, I don't know, Jean. What do you want to comment on the trade?
Well, I think you got good value. You got two guys that you're gonna have to add to your team for years to come. And I don't think that you're in a position where you're completely rebuilding, like where you're saying, okay, I'm gonna tank for the next 3 years. I think you still have some good assets, and I think you added two quality players to your team. And as you said, Crosby wasn't going to be on your team next year, so it's
Yeah,
and
Kalen, I don't know if you're aware, but at least one of the two bald guys predicted LA to go to the Stanley Cup final.
Oh no, I'm not aware of that.
Oh, yeah, it was me, by the way.
Oh shoot. Well, I'm sorry to sorry to disappoint.
It was like the next day that JL announced that he wasn't going to be the GM anymore. And I'm texting him going, "What the hell? I just picked you to win the whole freaking thing, you moron."
Well, I've been keeping him up to date every now and then, and he's just as surprised as everybody else that the direction the season is going.
Yeah, nobody's certainly. I think we both had LA in the playoffs.
yeah,
Jean maybe not have been as high on them as I was, but like, wow, it's
yeah.
been a bizarre year.
Yeah, just something didn't work. Goaltending, it doesn't matter if I said it defensive or not defensive. It just seemed to be a little bit leaky, and yeah, something had to go.
Okay, so the big trade that we want to talk about and is the Montreal trade. And I think the big piece that I'm going to get Jean a comment on, but getting Beckett Seneke,
hmm
uh, wow. I personally love that trade, but Jean, I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, I see why Eric paid up. He came to the table and he paid to get Tage Thompson because he's got 1 or 2 years left before he's at close to $7 to $8 million on his contract.
And not even that.
Um,
He's under 1.5 million for this season and another season after this, I think.
yeah.
So that
So
was a tough one to
so
even think about moving.
so he gave up, a quality prospect in Seneke. I think Sashin and Colby Barlow, they could, they're interchangeable, and giving up his first round pick in 2026 was also a big piece. But like you gave up Tage Thompson, which is at 1.5 or lower right now, and next year.
And that's a
Mhm.
big give up for sure.
Yeah. So I think you got good quality on there, but you gave up a really good, really big piece for him.
Yeah,
Uh,
I kind of struggled with that one. I didn't know if I wanted to trade Thompson necessarily because of the contract. It's such a high caliber of a player, and it's such a manageable cap hit that it lets you overspend somewhere else to put a contender together again. But um, the more I kind of went back to it, on one side, I think I see Allmark slipping a little bit. I don't see Ingram being like a game breaker in net next year either. So is it going to be another middling season? And am I going to waste Tage with this great contract, or you know, is it going to be possible to load up on a UFA and make another run? And at the end of the day, it just made more sense in talking with Eric that moving this piece now and getting a few things that maybe will help bring in a better fit down the middle, or will become assets to a rebuild, made a lot more sense than keeping Tage for another year or two at super cheap and trying to make a run.
yeah. And I think right now, this is the year, this is the time where you're going to get the quality that you got. If you wait until next year, you're not getting Seneca and a first round pick
Right,
for
because
Tage
we're not looking
Thompson.
at a year plus anymore. We're just looking at one season, and
Yeah.
having that extra off season to plan around him is huge.
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
and add to the point that Seneke just keeps getting better. Like I guess he's been injured again, but like when he's been on the ice, like he's just since about a year ago today, he's just been improving every game he's been playing.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I've been reading up a little bit on him as soon as trade talks kind of started, and trying to get a little bit better of a feel of the stuff that was on the table. And I liked everything that I was looking into and everything that I was reading. Chatting with a couple of buddies, you get different opinions and everything, and so it seemed to kind of be a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and then even chatting with Steve a little bit, like, has a lot more good things to say about him. So
well, I did
I'm
offer to take him off your hands if you're
yeah.
willing. If you did, if you
Yeah,
needed to
you're
unload
so
him,
kind. But I'm excited to bring in a player like that and be able to even just to kind of commit you to the league a little bit more, because now you have an asset that you're attached to and you can watch hopefully grow and not trade in 2 weeks because I decided I'm flip-flopping and competing again.
yeah. Oh God, I like he's like I agree that he might not like I wouldn't have drafted him where he got drafted, but I
Right,
can certainly see why he got drafted when he got drafted.
for sure.
And I mean, like even if he'd been drafted at, I think I had him at like seventh on my board or something like that. If he'd been drafted at seventh, I think you still win this trade. Like I think this is a great trade for you. Like
Well,
the
I don't
fact
know
that
if
he
it's,
went,
I think it's good for both sides. Like that's
Yeah.
he's getting a
Yeah.
great contract and a great asset
oh,
to
for
make a
sure,
run for a couple years.
for sure.
Yeah.
But
Because
I look at this as, and I know it's potentially, but I think you did end up with the person that we're going to look back on as the best player in this trade.
That'd be nice for sure.
So,
yeah.
I mean, good
But
job. Well done.
with
Well,
this
thanks.
trade, Eric gets Shifley and Thompson as his top two center. If you decide that Barzol is your is a winger, so it
Well, it's
makes
pretty clear that Montreal's going for it.
and Montreal had a good team before, and they have a much better team now. So
I think everybody got has to kind of even take a lesson from LA though and look at the sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen is not just the recipe for success.
Well, yeah,
mm-hmm.
it looks like that because there is, you looked at that roster back in September. There was no, like to me, it was the creme de la creme of the West, and
Yeah,
like
there were no holes.
Utah's great, but wow, wow,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just something couldn't get them going.
something didn't work. Something didn't work.
It's it's weird because Steve and I keep talking about it, sim is so hard to understand sometimes.
For sure.
Well,
It
It absolutely is.
I'm sitting behind the Detroit Red Wings, who they're a better team than last year, but I just can't look at their roster and think, wow, they're better than me. Like I still just can't do it.
Yeah, it's nice to know some things don't change, though.
Yeah. The day I
but
figure it out, I'll have to retire.
yeah, you'll win. It's
I'll
gonna be
win.
finally.
Well, but according to Seattle, they're going to win before me. So
Oh, we'll see.
we'll have to see. I feel good about my odds, though, Jean. I'm not going to lie.
It'll be fun for everybody to watch, that's for sure.
I know. It's
Will
gonna
you
be
be
at
sitting
least
there?
entertaining.
Will you be sitting there cheering for my team on Game 7 of the championship final? Assuming it's not against your team, of course. But
Of course, yeah. I
And
mean,
I'm
I'll
not.
have just cheered for a good series, but just because
And
I
I
know how
won't
long
cheer
you've
for
been
you,
going after
Steve.
it, Steve.
so how have you been enjoying your first year back with the boys?
It's been good. A little bit familiar. Like I said, it's taken a little bit to get back used to kind of valuations and how players are viewed over here, but it's been neat. It's sometimes a little bit hard to look at the Av squad and kind of remember what I had over there and what's there now and get a little bit of the sad for what could have been, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think Randy had the same problem too, right? Because he left and then came back with
right.
another team. And yeah, that's why I don't think I could ever do that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's
You love your guys, right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
put a lot of work in it. And it was one of the selling things that when Jordan left was a couple of the guys that I had worked really hard to get are on this team. And I don't know if those are, I know that those will be a couple of guys I'll probably hang on for too long here. And like in Dubois and Ehlers there. So that was a bit of a selling point to at least get a couple of my guys back.
Oh, good. Good. Okay. John, do you have any other
Yeah.
questions for our
No,
guest?
I think we want to look at the other trades
Sure.
because
And
there's quite a few trades.
we can get input from the
Yes,
third
I want to
person
hear
not bald.
Kalen's input, what
Oh,
his thoughts on the trades.
Okay, so we'll just we'll start off with the person who was never getting traded, Cole Iserman,
Wait,
getting
do you
traded.
want can you go to view all because there's more than that.
Uh, okay, sure. I could do that as soon as
There's
I
more. There's more than that. There was quite a few trades.
okay. Whoa, what happened? There we are. Shall we start? When was the last time we did a show on these trades?
Oh, that was before
Let's
the week
just
before.
yeah, let's just start here with the Lars Eller Giordano for blah 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 Poitras.
Yes. So,
this
Kalen, what do you
one.
think? Boston and the Capitals.
Just to let you
Um,
know, I don't know if you have your camera on or your screen on or whatever, but we have Connor Sherry, Neil Zaman, Matthew Poitras, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk going from Boston to Washington for Lars Eller Giordano, Calgary's first, the Rangers second, and $2 million.
I don't. I guess I don't get it.
I don't get why the Boston would do it either. But
Well, kind of either of them. Because
well,
isn't Washington kind of
Rebuilding?
yeah,
bottom of the
They,
league right now?
yep,
yeah.
they are.
But I think okay, two things about he's not a fan of this year's draft. Um,
But he didn't pick up
Yes.
next year's draft picks.
well,
It,
yes.
you'll see the other trade that just above is making that quite evident. So I think that obviously the guy that Gage was going after was Poitras, and
Yeah, for sure.
So, and by picking up Poitras, he's accelerating his rebuild. Because if you look at the other trade that he made, giving up 3 first-round picks and 2 seconds for Josh Doan, Oglander,
Lambert,
Lambert,
Casey.
and Casey. So he's looking to accelerate his rebuild instead of waiting to see how picking up draft picks and seeing how his draft picks are going to do. Because even though he's not a fan of this year's draft, he only picked up a third-round pick in 2026 as that's it in his trades. Oh, and a second-round pick in
Yeah,
2027.
but Poitras is what in the idea. What does he become at his best? He's not a top line player at his
No,
best.
third-line center.
I was going to say at best, he's middle six at best. And
Sorry, guys. I gotta take off. I got a crying baby.
Well,
Oh,
But
okay.
thanks so much for having me.
it's not JL, is it?
No, it's not. It's the real
Okay.
kind.
Okay. Take
Okay.
care, buddy. Thanks for coming
Nice
on
to
the
have
show.
you on.
Okay. Night, guys.
Good night.
Like, I just don't see Poitras as being like, I get that he's a good young player who's, got to the NHL at a young age, but he just reminds me of Curtis Lazar. Like, if you remember Curtis Lazar.
Oh, I remember Curtis Lazar. It's you know what I think because I think he was a second-round pick for Boston, and he made the team as an underager, like at 19 years old,
Yeah,
and he's French.
ahead of Fabian Lizelle,
Yeah, and he's French. I think everybody's like, oh, that's the next Patrice Bergeron. Well,
he's not though. Like
we'll see. It could be, but that's a high price to pay for a maybe because Van Riemsdyk, Eamon, and Sheary, it's nothing,
TVR is nothing.
right?
He's nothing. You can get him cheap 100 different ways.
Yeah.
Connor Sheary, okay. Neil Zaman, okay, but like there's nothing here that you see and it goes, wow.
Yeah.
There you go. Like we just did with Kalen. Beckett Seneke, wow, right? He got Beckett Seneke.
But he gave up Tage Thompson. So like wow. That like Eric got what he needed and Kalen got what he wanted. And he got a first-round pick, so he got really good value. If he waits until next year, he's not getting this value, because it's a year and like this year and next year left at 1.3 is the reason why Eric paid the price.
Yeah.
So, but this trade here, I understand that Gage doesn't believe in this year's draft, but to me that's a high price to pay for it. And what shocks me is
I've said to you, and I don't know if on this show or not, but I'm not a huge fan of this year's draft either. Like it is definitely, it's definitely not as exciting as last year's draft.
but you know what? You're still going to get top 6 players in the top 2 rounds.
Well, I mean, we can because we know that more has been given up that later on that we can talk about.
I know.
But I guess Kalen's point that I don't get this trade from either side. I get this trade from Boston's side because Boston can take some assets and move them. Now, he hasn't moved the first round pick yet.
And it's been 9 days, which is weird because usually Nathan, when he acquires a first round pick,
he
already has a trade in pending
as someone who has inquired about a first round pick that he has just traded for and been told, "Oh no, I already traded it." Like,
Well,
yeah, well, he hasn't traded this one, so we'll see what happens. But I'm guessing he's looking for a home run.
but it's a late pick.
Yeah.
It's going to be 25 or lower.
And again, late first round pick this year, I don't think is as good as late first round pick last year. So, I mean, we'll have to see, but I just think this year's draft is weaker than last. So I get Gage doing that, but I think Gage gave up way too much to get what he got.
But you see, I think the top, yeah, I know you think that but I think the top six, I I, I think the major difference between this year and last year is last year you had a number one that was like
Clear
over,
number
over
one.
and above everybody else, and then it was 2 to 8, probably, right? Maybe
Yeah.
even 10 to 12, considering that I think that the second best player, well, the third best player after Demidov was probably Zeev Buium that went 12 to Minnesota.
Which is still freaking nuts, man. That is still freaking nuts that he went at 12. But I would
So
say this year's draft, the top 5 or 6 are as good as the top 12
from
last
last
year.
year.
Yeah.
So after
So,
that, it starts to drop.
yeah.
You know,
There's guys I still like. Like, don't misunderstand me. Like we've talked, I know I've mentioned a few names of guys that I like in the range that potentially I would be picking with Buffalo's pick. But I, I
yeah.
I just don't
Hey,
like the depth in this year's draft, like last year.
okay. Igor Shenyshov went 33rd last year. He's
Exactly.
averaging more than 3 points a game in the, I know, just under 3 points a game in the OHL. 23 points in 8 games.
Yeah.
So and he went 23rd, 33rd in last year's
30-30
draft.
was the first pick of the second round
Yeah. So, and Gage picked him up
because
and
the idiot got a sunburn. Okay.
okay.
So I mean, Patrick Bound, Joe Pavelski. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Good job, Calgary. You got a guy, and you didn't give up a whole lot to get him.
Yeah. And a second round pick in 2026, you know,
Okay,
and
but
$5 million.
and 5 million, but the 5 million would be just to cover the.
Is it that
He's just
much?
he's paying off
Yeah.
the retention. So, but I mean, let's talk about the Washington Edmonton trade because Washington gives up a first round pick from Philadelphia, which is going to be a late first round,
Yeah.
probably like 28, 20, maybe anywhere 26 to 32. A second round pick, but they get
First round pick from New Jersey.
oh, sorry, yes, a first round pick from New Jersey and their own first round pick, which is it's going to be top 5 or 6.
Well, it's second right now.
Okay, but yes,
Right now,
but I'm saying worst case scenario, it's 6.
it's going to be fourth. Let's say the draft happened, the lottery happened today. The
It would be
worst that
worst
could
case
happen
scenario
is
4.
that pick would be fourth.
Yes. I'm just supposing that the worst he could drop is to 4th, which would make it the worst case being 6th. But I think our point being that we both think that the player that you're going to get with that pick is going to be really good.
Yes.
Potentially Matthew Schaefer.
Even like, okay, to me, the top 4 guys in the draft right now are Schaefer, Misa, Agins, and Porter Martin. Okay, to me, they're the 4. If
Yeah.
he gets, if when Bob gets one of those 4 guys at number 4, plus another one of those, so Bob is going to end up with 2 of those guys.
2 of those 4 guys.
2 of those 4 guys. That's a really Like,
That's a good quick start to your rebuild.
and to me, those two, like one of those four guys, is better than every single player that Gage got.
Yeah.
But
Well,
on top of that,
Niemi has been a disappointment.
yes, that's a salary dump.
Josh Doan is a middle six at best.
Yeah.
Brad Lambert, and no one was higher on Brad Lambert in his draft year than me. Brad Lambert is going to be a middle six forward as well. And I wouldn't have said that in his draft year. Seamus Casey had a really good start to the year,
Mm-hmm.
but he's going to be a middle pairing at best.
He's still a 5'10" defenseman.
Yes. But again, middle pairing at best. He's not going
Yep.
to be a top pairing guy. He'll be your second power play, the head of your second power play unit.
Yep.
Like, again, all of these things don't add up to what you're giving up.
No. I don't understand it.
I
I
would
don't
rather
understand
have
it. And
one of
you
the
know,
four guys that you mentioned, like Hagen's, let's say, okay, second best player. I don't know, but I'm assuming we're both in agreement that Hagen's goes second in the draft.
oh
Maybe Misa.
yeah, Higgins, you know what? Like after to me, after Schaefer, it's what your preference are between the other three.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing Hagen's goes second. Like
Yeah.
I think Schaefer goes first, Hagen's second, and I'm not set to say that Misa's third. I'm not. I would probably take Mortone at third overall, and then fourth maybe Misa. And I'm not even saying Misa's in the top four.
No.
I might have him at five, but just think I don't like this trade from Washington's point of view.
No.
Unless like one of these guys that I don't think is going to be much more than a middle six becomes better than that, it doesn't work.
No, because you're giving up the potential for a top line player or top defenseman.
Okay, so Michael Kesselring, who's pretty good young defenseman, he's having a good year in Utah.
Yep, and I tried to acquire him, and he got more. Well, close to what he got more from than what I offered.
Well,
Not much more.
I had an offer on as well, and I had 1 second and another young defenseman player being offered, who I equate to at least another second round pick, and he turned it down. And I feel like my offer would have been better than the one that he ended up taking,
Mm-hmm.
because he had to give up 2/3 as well to get.
Yeah, yeah. I
get
offered
2 seconds.
an early third and a player that I thought was the equal to a second.
So your offer was probably as good, or at least as good as mine, and I feel like mine is better than what he ended up getting. So we already talked about the Blake and Lardis trade.
Yeah.
Okay. Savoy and a first and $5 million for the guy who would never be traded. And Jean, you and I are in a private chat with Mac. And I don't know how many times in that private chat he has raved about how great Cole Eiserman is.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that you and I love Cole Eiserman as much as Zach did.
Oh, we don't.
Well, I know I don't.
We don't.
I see a whole lot of Alexander Holtz in Cole Eiserman. And like, will he make the NHL? Probably. Like Alexander Holtz has made the NHL. But I'm not convinced that he's going to be an everyday NHL superstar.
Mm-hmm. But I will tell you something is I think he got really good value for Cole Eiserman.
100%.
Really
100%.
good value. As much as like he keeps saying you raved about how much you love Cole Iserman. I understand why you traded him because he got really good value.
Yep.
Matthew
Although I will,
Savoy, to me, is a better player than Cole Iserman,
yes.
and he got a
Although his
first and
progress
5 million.
has not been great since being drafted.
He only got drafted what 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Was he 2022?
Yeah, 3 years ago. So he's
No,
still
2022 was no. He would have been either 2021.
okay. Give me
I think it
30
might have been
seconds here.
2021.
Was it 2021 or 2022?
I'm guessing 2021.
Nope, not 2021.
Well, he wasn't in the Slavkovsky year.
Not number 9 in 2022. He
Okay.
was drafted the year of Slavkovsky.
Really?
So
I guess I blacked down after I made my draft pick.
yeah. So he just turned 20. 21. He turned 21 on January 1st.
Oh, I think he's a better. I think he becomes a better player than Cole Iserman.
So do I.
And I mean, you have another first round pick and $5 million.
Yeah. So I
So
think he got a very good value for him.
to everyone who's listening, two bald guys have now stated that the Seattle GM has won a trade. It can happen. I'm guessing our likes on this video will now go up by 1.
By 1. Yes.
Okay. Now maybe the dislikes will come in by 1 as well.
Well,
But sorry, you want to go on about you want to do the Washington trade next with Seattle?
yep.
Okay,
It's
so sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
to me that okay. First of all, I'm not a fan of Ryerson Leanders as a goalie, and I think he might be 27 by the time he makes NHL if he does. So
And he's in Buffalo,
yeah.
where there's
So
like 5 goalies ahead of him.
exactly. So
5 young goalies.
but Zach is a fan, which is like we're all amateurs. So if he's a fan, I'm glad that he got the guy he wanted.
Well,
Jacko,
and if he's right, I mean it's Dustin Wolf all over again.
yeah, absolutely. Jacko is a middle third line player.
He's an interesting prospect though. Like I don't
He's
hate on him, but yeah, I don't think he's gonna be a star player in the league.
but he'll play. I think he'll play the NHL and he'll be at least a third line player. And you got Philly's second round pick, and he just gave up third round picks. They're all early third round picks if you look at where the players are. So it's not it. You didn't overpay, but well, maybe a little bit. But the
I
third
think he
round
did
pick,
overpay. I think he did overpay.
yes, but the third round picks.
Yeah. And
So
2 of them are next year as well.
so if you consider that after the second round, I think it's like, is it 20% of the draft picks that make the NHL?
Something like that. Like it definitely falls off. I think
So,
I haven't but I'll say this, the data that's out on that is all data from the early 2000s.
but
And it's a different NHL now with the salary cap.
mhm,
Like a
yeah,
lot of
I
these
agree.
young kids get up there, like Poitras we talked about, because they're on that league minimum salary, they can get to the NHL a little quicker if they play a certain way.
Yeah. And and teams are going to start to with the salary cap going up. so much, the teams are going to start to be more patient with their prospects.
Probably, yeah. That's a good point. So,
So
but yeah, Ryerson Leanders, I just like I liked him as a decent goalie prospect, but he's not going to be in the NHL for 5 or 6 years
yep.
at best. And he's unless he moves to another organization. Like I don't think he plays in Buffalo just because Buffalo's got so many.
Wasn't he was a seventh round pick, eh?
Yeah, and he was almost in tears in the seventh round because he hadn't been drafted yet.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got drafted, you could see the relief.
So
Like a lot of teams were passing on this kid a long time, and when they do that, you know it's for a reason.
yeah.
And
So
the fact
but
that Buffalo took him, like it made no sense to me because they've got,
so many
I,
so many goalies
yeah,
prospect. And I think that they are well, they're rebuilding obviously. Uh, but goalies are so unpredictable on how long it takes them to make it, right?
yeah. I'd almost rather the NHL change the age on goaltenders to begin with. Let them be drafted up at 20. Like hold them off until 20
Mm-hmm.
because you just don't know. Like it's so long. And so many guys come from like a European guy will come over at 26 who went undrafted and end up making the NHL.
Yep.
Francouz is the first one that comes to mind, who
It,
played up until this year, I think, in Colorado.
is it this year or last year?
Yeah, well, he
Yeah.
played in Colorado
Whatever. Yeah.
for a few years. But there's enough of these guys that come over from Europe or wherever
Mm-hmm.
that you can't. I don't know. Like it almost seems silly for an NHL team to waste a seventh round pick, and I say waste, almost tongue in cheek, but you're wasting on a guy that who knows, man.
Yeah. It goalies take so long to develop. So long.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is there? We already talked about the Beckett Seneke Tage Thompson trade, which
Yep.
I think is the highlight of this list.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Absolutely.
both teams did well. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of happy that I don't have to see Beckett Seneke in our division, although Tage Thompson,
Yeah.
he's pretty good too. So,
So it's yeah, Tage Thompson is gonna make Montreal that much better, and I think we have a new. I think we're going to be looking at a new division champ, eh? In Montreal, in
it'll be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. And because number one, it looks like I'm not going to make the playoffs. And if the Islanders are that second seed and they end up getting Montreal in the first round, that second wild card. If they get
yep,
Montreal in the first round, that's kind of nuts.
Steve, you're saying you're like you're only 3 points behind Buffalo and the Red Wings, right? And it's not as if the Buffalo and the Red Wings have been, you know, that good.
No,
They're 5-5 in the last 10 games.
yeah,
So
I, I, what have I been for the last 10 games? Like
four,
I have
five, and
four.
one,
Yeah, I had a
four,
4 game
five, and
losing streak there at one point. So
so, but
I will say my schedule going down the stretch is really good. Like
so,
I think I have like 9 out of 11 home games from at the end of the season.
yeah, yeah.
Like it's
This like I think it's right now 16 of your last you're at 56 games. Yeah. Yeah, 15 of your last 26 games. 16 of your last 26 games are at home.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a rough
So
away bunch of bad away trips, and the teams
yeah.
that I've got to play against, like I still have one more game against Washington. I kind of have my own destiny in my own hands,
Hmm.
and but it's just the sim just has been like I go on an 8 game win streak and then I lose 5 in a row. And I
I
noticed
know.
Detroit did the same thing. Like they went on like a 10 game win streak and then they went on an 8 game losing streak. Like
So, and
oh man.
have you seen also Columbus is
Uh
second overall in the DCHL, 1 point behind the Flyers,
it's
and they
crazy.
have a game
It's
in
crazy.
hand.
Yeah.
I would never have thought that.
I I I would love to think that I have a better than 50% chance, but I don't. I don't think I do. Like I think I have a chance. I keep reminding myself of what New Jersey did a few years ago, where they came back a bigger gap
Yeah.
and went all the way to the finals. But I don't know. Freddie Anderson's been okay.
And Vancouver came back from a horrible 10-game start for the first 10 games, and now they're
Yeah,
first in the Pacific. So
yeah. Ah, the Sim, she's a mean one. She's a mean one.
yep,
So maybe we can all agree to boo the Sim.
exactly that way. We won't be booing the national anthem.
Yeah.
So
Again, I know they're booing during the national anthem, but I would really argue that they're not booing the national anthem.
no,
The giant Cheeto head in Washington. And I have to watch it because I'm going to be flying to Florida in March for work. And they check your social media sometimes.
well, I will
I
tell
may have
you,
to delete Facebook from my phone.
I am not planning to go to the States for the next 4 years, and I have absolutely nothing against our friends from the United States in the DCHL, but when you have somebody that the president of the United States that starts to attack my country, um, personally, I'm not
I get,
happy and I'm scared.
yeah. Well, I get, people say, oh, he's a lunatic. Don't worry. He's a lunatic. He might be a lunatic, but he's also president of the United States who said,
Yeah,
who said, I'm going to start rounding up a whole bunch of Hispanics and get them deported. And since he's been president, he's been rounding up a whole lot of Hispanics and gotten them deported. So yeah, as a Canadian, I am somewhat concerned when your head of your country says, "I'm going to annex your country and make you the 51st state."
yep, I'm extremely concerned.
So, and if our next prime minister is Pierre Poilievre, I'm not sure he's the guy to stop that. So, I'm not sure Justin Trudeau would have been either. But
No, it's it's let's just hope that we can make it through the next 4 years.
yes, I hope. And yes, this is not against the various American GMs in the league, but I think you have to own it too. He's your president. You have to you have to own the fact that he's doing things that are not kosher with other people. So
Yeah, they're not okay.
they're not okay. So anyway, I think we can stop being somber and talking
Yep.
political. That's the last thing I ever want to talk about on the show.
No, well, exactly.
So anyway, you gonna watch the game tomorrow? It's in the afternoon, right?
It's at 1 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon. I work evenings, but usually I leave home around 1 to go into work. So it's gonna be tough for me to be able to watch it.
So I'll be watching it up until Canada goes down 4-0 or something stupid like that. But hopefully not. Knock on wood.
No. So I'll
But
try
I'm
to
still not sure
watch the
they're going to
first
beat the
period before I go
Americans.
to work, and I'll
Do you,
just leave later.
do you think Canada can? Do you have any hope that Canada can win this whole thing?
I don't think they can win this whole thing, but I'm confident they'll win against Finland.
Okay.
I-
Okay.
It's I'm just not confident that they will be able to beat the States now with the goaltending the States
Jordan
have
Binnington.
and the goaltending that Canada has.
Yeah, I just look at Jordan Binnington and say no.
So
Nope.
he would have to play as good as he did when he won a cup in 2018. Was it 2018?
Way back, yeah. I think it was 2018.
So he's gonna have to play that well, and he hasn't played that well since.
He ain't gonna play that well. He's just not that guy. He's just
Yeah.
not that guy.
So, but Cale Makar comes back, he could be the difference because remember it was a 2-1 game. 2-1 game.
Well, it was really a 1-1 game, except Binnington gave up 2 shit goals.
Yeah. But if you look at it, it was a 1-goal game. So let's hope Makar makes a difference.
They barely held on and beat the Swedes.
So let's see.
Okay, well,
I have to get going.
yeah. You got to
So,
go shave
yeah.
your head.
I know.
Getting a little hairy.
Have a
I
good
got a
evening.
haircut today.
Have a good evening. I didn't do anything today.
I shoveled a shit ton of snow.
I didn't touch a shovel because I pay somebody to come and do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
So,
I'm cheap.
when I'm lazy, I like no,
The
not worth my time.
the YouTube
So,
checks must be going to your house. That's all I'm saying.
I'd like to pull into my garage and pull out of my garage and I'm done.
Okay. Well, we'll maybe do a show next week. I'm not sure. I have a swim meet next weekend, but it's in the morning, so I might be available.
Okay.
So
I
maybe
don't have any plans next weekend, so next Sunday
maybe
night.
someone else will make some crazy trades or something, or we can talk
Yeah.
about the finals if
And
Canada
we can
wins.
absolutely can talk about the finals.
So okay, we'll see
Okay.
everybody next time.
Okay. Have a good evening.